Okay, aloha kako and good afternoon. Mahalo for joining us for today's AEN and Waterland 105 hearing. It's Wednesday, no, it's not Wednesday, it's Friday.
Aloha Friday.
Yes. It's Friday, February 9th, and we are here in room 224, which includes the audio and video of remote participants. It's being streamed live on YouTube. In the unlikely event that we have to shut things down because of tech problems, we will reconvene on 1:10 p.m. on Monday, February 12th, here in room 224. And because of our 90-minute time limit for hearings, there'll be a 2-minute time limit for all testifiers and a virtual countdown timer on the Zoom screen. But for today, we're starting off with just decision-making on one measure, and that is SB 2803 relating to the Kohala Ditch, making the Department of Ag responsible for the routine maintenance of the Kohala Ditch, requiring the Department of Ag to develop a plan for the refurbishment of the Kohala Ditch, and submitting a report to the legislature. Okay, so Chair, let's see here. So having conferred with my co-chair here, the recommendation would be to pass with the amendments from the Department of Ag, which would allow the DOA more time to create a due diligence study of the Kohala Ditch system, which would include due diligence, cost to repair and maintain the ditch, the potential use for agritourism, and cost to effectively transfer the water to increase ag production. And the DOA shall submit a report to the Ledge no later than 20 days before the convening of the 2026 regular session, and an appropriation in the amount of $1.5 million will be dispersed by DOA for the purposes of this study. Chair, you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion?
Waterland is.
Yeah, I just want quick one. That ditch, I don't know too much about it. Do we own the ditch? Does the state own the ditch? Sure.
No.
So is there any way that they're gonna repair them, or they're gonna convey it over to the state for the repairs?
No, I don't think so.
And how much was it again, Chair?
1.5 for the purposes of the study.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so for AEN, Chair votes aye. Senator Rhodes?
Chair's recommendation on SB 2803 is to pass with amendments. Chair Gabbard votes yes. Vice Chair Richards is excused. Senator Coit also excused. I'll vote yes. Senator Awa.
Aye.
Recommendation's adopted.
Thank you, AEN members.
Okay, for the Committee on Water and Land, Chair's recommendation to pass SB 2803 with amendments. Members of the Water Land Committee, any discussions? Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair goes aye.
Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 2803 with
Thanks.
amendments. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Chang, excuse. Senator McKelvey. So yes. Senator Favela.
Yes.
Madam Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Okay, and that adjourns the 105 joint. Okay, calling to order the 106 agenda joint with Health and Human Services and AEN. We are here in room 224. It's Friday, February 9th. And in the unlikely event that we have to shut down because of tech difficulties, we will reconvene at 1:01 p.m. on Monday, February 12th. And because of our 90-minute time limit, we'll be limited to 1-minute time limit for all testifiers, and we'll have a virtual countdown timer. So the first measure is SB 2426, relating to cesspools. Part 2 requires certain priority level 1 cesspools to be upgraded, converted, or connected before January 1st of 2035, and priority level 2 cesspools to be upgraded, converted, or connected before January 1st, 2045, rather than before January 1st, 2050. And then Part 3 appropriates funds to implement the cesspool compliance pilot grant project established pursuant to Act 153. Part 4 establishes an income tax credit for the cost of upgrading or converting a qualified cesspool to a director of health-approved wastewater system or connecting to a sewage system. So first up is the Attorney General's office.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chairs Gabbard, San Buenaventura, members of the committee. My name is Joanna Ye, and I'm a Deputy Attorney General with the Department of the Attorney General. I'm here to let the committees know that there may be a single subject title issue with this bill. The subject in this bill's title is cesspools. However, Section 8 of the bill proposes to amend the requirement to audit tax credits relating to organically produced agricultural products. And this particular amendment appears to be beyond the scope of the bill. We have submitted written testimony. In our written testimony, we've included some recommendations on how to address this subject title issue. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Next is Gary Suganuma from DOTAX. Thank you, Eliza. Department of Health.
Good afternoon, chairs, members of the committee. John Nagata, Department of Health. We stand by our written testimony in support of this measure.
Okay, thank you. Dante Hirata Epstein from Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority.
My chairs, vice chairs, and applicable committees, BGA stands on our written testimony and is available for any questions.
Okay, in support? Yes, thank you. Leah Laramie from the Climate Commission. In support, Lindsay Garcia from Hawaii Realtors.
Hello, chairs. My name is Lindsay Garcia, Hawaii Realtors. We stand on
Okay. Carmen Simpliciano, Kingdom Pathways. Opposed. Ted Boland from Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition and Climate Protectors Hawaii.
Good afternoon, Chair Gabbard, Chair San Buenaventura, Vice Chairs, members of the committee. Again, Ted Boland for the Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition and the Climate Protectors Hawaii. As many of you know, I served as the Deputy Attorney General for 15 years, representing the Department of Health on wastewater matters, and I was privileged to be on the cesspool conversion working group for 4 years. That working group came out with a report a little over a year ago, and the main recommendation of that report was that we need to move up the dates on some of the cesspools for upgrades. Specifically, there was a UH study that characterized all the cesspools in the state as priority 1, 2, or 3, and about 30% of the cesspools are category 1 or 2. And that's what this bill proposes, to advance the date for upgrades to. The proposal in the working group report was 2030 for category 1, priority 1, that is, and 2035 for priority 2. The bill gives people a little more time, and it proposes 2035 for the priority 1 and 2040 for priority 2. I would note that the bill description has an error in it. It says 2045 instead of 2040 for the priority 2.
Your time's up, Ted. Thank you.
I'm sorry, thank you.
Next is Tom Yamachika from the Tax Foundation of Hawaii.
Good afternoon. This is Jade McMillan on behalf of Tom Yamachika for the Tax Foundation of Hawaii. We have submitted some comments limited to the section on taxation. We'll just stand on our written comments this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Melody Aduha from the Environmental Caucus of the Democratic Party.
Thank you, aloha chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. The Environmental Caucus of the Democratic Party of Hawaii, with over 7,500 active members statewide, strongly supports SB 2426. Removing all cesspools by 2050 is daunting, costly, and way too late. Measures must be taken much earlier to preserve and let the environment recover from the pollution damage already sustained. This bill assists in the recovery by advancing the applicable deadlines by 10 years for priority 1 cesspools and 5 years for priority 2 cesspools. It is also crucial to find sustainable solutions to protect Hawaii's environment and public health, namely financial incentives. This bill offers financial assistance and tax breaks to homeowners who voluntarily upgrade their wastewater system, such as through the Cesspool Compliance Grant Project, and income tax credits for the cost of upgrading or converting. May I also suggest stricter regulations such as regular inspections to ensure compliance, and also to promote the use of reef-safe cleaning products and discourage.
Thank you, Melody.
Thank you.
Your time's up. Thank you very much. Next is Stuart Coleman from VI Wastewater Alternatives and Innovations.
Aloha, chairs, vice chairs, and committee members. My name is Stuart Coleman from VI Wastewater Alternatives and Innovations. And we want to echo what has been said before, but also just introduce something that has not been talked about much, just the practicality of having earlier deadlines, not only for environmental and public health reasons, but there's no way the state will be able to achieve the mandate if we just have one deadline and we don't phase them with the most urgent cesspool conversions first. But I'll stand on the rest of my testimony. Mahalo.
Thank you, Stuart.
Mahalo.
Okay, and then we had anyone else wishing to testify on this measure, either online or in person? There were 22 in support, 1 opposed, and 4 with comments. Members, any questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next measure. SB 2425, also relating to cesspools, authorizes and appropriates funds to the Department of Health to retain qualified consultants as necessary to identify necessary public outreach and education resources and tools, and develop a comprehensive public outreach strategy and website to educate homeowners and wastewater industry professionals about information and resources regarding the state cesspool upgrade, conversion, and connection requirements and deadlines. It also requires mandatory seller disclosures in real estate transactions, include whether the property has a cesspool, including the date by which state law mandates that the cesspool be upgraded, converted, or connected, and the priority level of the cesspool according to the Hawaii Cesspool Hazard Assessment and Prioritization Tool. And so first up on this one is the Department of Health.
Good afternoon, chairs, committee members, Department of Health, John Nagato. The department stands on its written testimony in support of this measure.
Thank you. Next is Department of, this is the Climate Change Commission, Leah Laramie, in support. Dante Hirata Epstein with Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority.
Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority stands on our written testimony in support of the measure.
Thank you very much. Lindsay Garcia from Hawaii Realtors.
Aloha, chairs, vice chairs, and members of both committees. My name is Lindsay Garcia from the Hawaii Realtors. We do support the education efforts of this bill, but do offer comments on the seller disclosure portion. Disclosure of cesspools is a material fact and is already concluded in our seller's real property disclosure statement. This measure, however, proposes to go beyond disclosing existing material facts and requires sellers to utilize the Hawaii Cesspool Hazard Assessment Tool. So we just wanted to highlight from our testimony that the state mandated deadline for upgrading, converting, or connecting is not currently provided within the tool. In addition, the Department of Health may provide a homeowner with an exemption from the requirement to convert their cesspool. However, it is not clear that the tool will include that information for each exempted property. The tool may also not indicate whether a homeowner has already closed their cesspool, so the information may not be accurate. In addition, the tool does have a disclosure statement that says that they acknowledge that the information on the website may not be.
Your time's up.
Okay, thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
We have your written testimony. Thank you. Next is Carmen Simpliciano. Submits comments. Ted Boland from High Rock. And Climate Protectors.
Thank you, chairs, vice chairs, committee members. Ted Boland for the Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition and the Climate Protectors Hawaii. This bill is all about information to the public that they need because of the cesspool project. This is a big job to upgrade over 80,000 cesspools. Even if you're just talking about the priority 1s and 2s, 30,000, that's their 30%, 26,000, that's quite a lot. So we need to get information out there. Experience in other jurisdictions are that a successful program needs an outreach and education program. And so I think this bill is really necessary in order to make sure that the public knows what's going on. There's a lot of different things happening over the time and they need that information. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Melody Aduha from the Democratic Party Environmental Caucus.
Aloha chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committee. The Environmental Caucus of the Democratic Party of Hawaii strongly supports SB 2425 because conversions of the state's 83,000 cesspools are long overdue. There are severe and oftentimes irreversible dangers associated with cesspools, including groundwater contamination, adverse coastal impacts, and coral reef damage. Hawaii's coral reefs are essential for our economy, shoreline protection, recreation, fisheries, and native species, making cesspool pollution a critical concern. It is critical to find sustainable solutions to protect Hawaii's environment and public health. Education and outreach will raise awareness about impacts of the cesspools on water quality, coral reefs, and health, and encourage responsible wastewater management practices. Further, it provides stricter regulations by encouraging transitions to better wastewater systems through mandatory disclosures at the time of real property sales regarding the presence of a cesspool and its conversion deadline. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Melody.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to testify online or in person on this measure? Okay, we had 19 in support and 0 opposed with 2 comments. We have any questions, members? Okay, moving on to SB 2421, relating to Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP. This appropriates funds to the Department of Ag for the continued administration of the Hawaii Healthy Food Incentive Program, known as the DEBUCS, and to provide matching funds to beneficiaries who participate in the SNAP program. And let's see, 2421. First up is Hunter Hevelin from Hawaii Farmers Union.
Aloha chairs, vice chairs, committee members. Hunter Hevelin here on behalf of the Hawaii Farmers Union. We stand in strong support of this measure as a critical opportunity to continue to provide the subsidy to our agricultural producers across the state, and a critical lifeline to support households experiencing food insecurity. We view it as a very important program that has worked hard and diligently over many years to expand its reach and its impact. And so we strongly support you to forward this measure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hunter. Department of Health. Thank you. Department of Ag.
Good afternoon. The department stands in strong support of this measure.
Thank you. Department of Human Services. In support, City and County of Honolulu Office of Economic Revitalization, Amy Asabaya is also in support. Daniela Spato with the Hawaii Hunger Action Network.
Aloha chairs, vice chairs, and members. Daniela Spoto, the Hawaii Hunger Action Network. We're a coalition of 20 organizations that are trying to increase food security for Hawaii households. SNAP is a lifeline for a lot of families in Hawaii. It brings in about $60 million to the state a month. Most of that goes right back out the door. This program would incentivize SNAP users to actually spend those dollars on local produce. So it's wildly popular. It's been very, very important for a lot of local farmers. It supports 530 local farmers. And unfortunately, it's in danger of losing its funding in August of this year if we don't have a sustainable funding plan, which this legislation would provide. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Don Kurisu with HMSA. In support. Brian Miyamoto with Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Aloha chairs and members of the committee, Brian Miyamoto on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau. We will stand on our written testimony in strong support.
Thank you. The Hawaii Public Health Institute.
Aloha chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee, Nate Hicks with Hawaii Public Health Institute in strong support of this bill. We know fresh produce is very important for the health of our population. And the other benefit is this is potentially matching funds. If any of us had the opportunity to give a family member or friend an extra $20 when they were in need, and that would magically turn into $40, I think all of us would give that money. The state has an awesome opportunity to do that to the struggling families who are on SNAP currently to help them with their health and well-being. So please pass this measure. Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. Kendall Matsuyoshi from Local Food Coalition.
Hello, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committees, Local Food Coalition. Thank you.
Thank you, Kendall. Lauren Zerbel from Hawaii Food Industry Association.
Thank you, chairs, vice chairs, and committee members. Lauren Zerbel on behalf of Hawaii Food Industry Association. We represent over 200 companies locally that contribute to our food supply chain here in the state. We are in very strong support of this measure. It is our number one priority issue this year. This program was a brainchild that came out of KTA, was the first store that did it. Since then, it's expanded to many statewide stores. It's been very successful in increasing sales of local agricultural products, increasing resiliency and sustainability in our state. The great thing about this bill is that it has federal match, so it's a really positive investment for the state to make. So we really encourage you to pass it, and thank you so much for hearing it.
Thank you, Lauren. Micah Munakata from Ulupono.
Good afternoon, Chair Gabbard, Chair San Buenaventura, Vice Chair Aquino, and members of the committees. Micah Munakata here on behalf of Ulupono Initiative. Chair, this is one of the most important bills, you could say, for our communities in agriculture this year. Being able to leverage federal funding the way that this program does and to set it up for local produced products. It's very unique. You know, we hear a lot of tax credit bills across that tend to run into some of these Commerce Clause issues. This is a federal program that's established where we can take advantage of incentivizing our local stuff. So I did want to say that the local farmers, the reach is to more than 470 farm producers and 8 distributors across our state. The benefit is massive. We have 160,000 Hawaii residents that are receiving SNAP assistance today. With a 26% increase in our food since 2020, the need is there. We have a bunch of stuff attached to our testimony. I hope you folks get a chance to take a look at it. Some of the data where sales have been increasing by, in some cases, over 100% every single year with this program. It's extremely successful. We look forward to moving this bill through this session. Thank you very much for hearing it and appreciate all your support. Thank you, chairs.
Thank you, Micah. Okay, anyone else? Wait a minute, we have Lillian Colton. Is she on Zoom?
Present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, Lillian's in support. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure online or in person? The count on this one, 121 in support, 0 opposed, and 0 comments. Okay, members, any questions? Moving on. Okay. to SB 2369, related to toxic chemicals, and establishes a working group to investigate the existence and environmental dangers of PFAS and related chemicals. Requires a report to the ledge. First up is Department of Health.
Good afternoon, Chairs Gabbard, Sanbed, and Ventura. My name is Grace Simmons. I'm representing the Department of Health. We stand on our written testimony providing comments to this measure and available for questions.
Thank you. Melody Aduha, Environmental Caucus for the Dems. You with us, Melody?
I am. Thank you. Aloha, chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committee. The Environmental Caucus of the Democratic Party strongly supports SB 2101. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. If I may start over.
2369.
Thank you. Okay, the Environmental Caucus of the Democratic Party strongly supports 2369. PFAS, known as forever chemicals, pose significant risk to human health and environment. These chemicals have been linked to cancer, reproductive issues, immune system dysfunction. Furthermore, PFAS are highly persistent in the environment, accumulating in soil, water, and air, posing long-term threats to our ecosystem and public health. PFAS accumulates in the food chain, especially in nearshore reef fish and agricultural products where reclaimed wastewater and sludge are used for irrigation purposes and fertilizer. PFAS then bioaccumulates in the human body. Okay, I want to say that the working group can address phasing out PFAS based on consumer, commercial, and industrial products. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Melody.
Thank you.
Anyone else online or in person that would like to testify on this measure? We have 8 in support, 0 opposed, and 1 with comments. Questions, members?
Yes, I do.
Senator-
Department of Health. So I saw your comments basically saying you folks are already doing a number of research here. You don't see this as a need. My question is, do you have any problems with amending this measure, removing Department of Health Director as the chairperson, but basically as Director of Health as or ASME as a member, and having the chairs of the House and Senate as co-chairs of the working group? Do you have any problems with that?
No problems.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, and moving on to SB 2813, requires the Department of Ag to establish industry standards for processing meat and conduct a survey on slaughterhouse operations. Establishes a tax credit for processing meat. First up is Department of Ag.
Thank you, chairs, vice chair, and members. Dexter Kishida, deputy at Hawaii Department of Agriculture. The department stands in support. We do have some reservations, but most of all, we're going to defer to Department of Taxation on a lot of the details. Thank you very much.
Thank you. DOTAX. Thank you. And then Nicole Galassi from the Hawaii Cattlemen's Council on Zoom. Nicole, you with us?
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, submits comments. Brian Miyamoto from Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bureau was down on its written testimony supporting the exam.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to testify on SB 2813? Members, any questions? Okay, so we had two in support, 0 opposed, and 3 with comments. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Senator Buenaventura.
Thank you very much. For SB 2150 relating to aquaculture, we have Department of Agriculture in support. Stand by your comments. Thank you very much for your testimony. Next, we have Department of Health in opposition. Anybody else wishing to testify on SB 2150? Members, any questions? Okay, seeing none, moving on. SB 2101, relating to health. First up, Department of Health providing comments.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. My name is Marianne Officer from the Department of Health.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have Greenpeace Hawaii in support. Dave Mullinex, are you there on Zoom?
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is Energy Justice Network in support.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Jolie Riff, here to support SB 2101 on behalf of the Clean Power Task Force and Energy Justice Network. Currently, H-Power is only required to continuously monitor 4 air pollutants, leaving 9 others to be tested just once per year. This bill would require all 9 to be monitored continuously, along with 9 additional pollutants that currently go unmonitored. To put things into perspective a bit, think about if we regulated car drivers the way that we monitored most incinerator emissions. Motorists would be allowed to drive around all year long with no speedometer. And once a year, we'd set up a speed trap that would be on the highway with signs warning, slow down, speed trap ahead. And the driver's brother would actually be running the speed trap, similar to how companies choose to hire who they're having monitor. So in reality, incinerators are speeding other times when no one else is looking. And once a year testing can drastically underestimate reported emissions. At the nation's largest waste incinerator in Pennsylvania, continuous monitoring found that hydrochloric acid emissions are 62% higher than what their annual stack tests indicate. And for dioxins, the most toxic chemicals known to science.
Thank you very much. We have your written testimony.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Melody Aduha for Environmental Caucus of the Democratic Party for Hawaii in support. Melody, I see you there on Zoom. Please proceed.
Yes, thank you very much. Chairs, vice chairs, members. Continuous monitoring will aid in air pollution control of greenhouse gas emissions and affect our ozone and causes climate change. Currently, only sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, carbon monoxide, and carbon dioxide are continuously monitored. Dioxins, furans, hydraulic acid, hydrogen fluoride, volatile organic compounds, lead, and mercury, among others, are monitored but once a year. PFAS, arsenic, chromium, nickel, selenium, and zinc are never monitored at all. Emissions of these chemicals adversely affect human health and the environment, and they all should be continuously monitored for our protection and the health of our environment. In summary, continuous monitoring ensures timely action, protects health, and promotes environmental stewardship. It is a crucial tool in our collective efforts to create a safer, cleaner environment for our communities and the planet. Please pass SB 2101. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Next, we have Covanta Energy in opposition. Please proceed.
Thank you, chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committee. I'm Fraser Blaylock with Covanta. We are the operators of the City and County of Honolulu's H-Power Waste-to-Energy facility. For decades, we have managed Honolulu's municipal solid waste while we recycle metals and generate up to 10% of Oahu's electricity needs with baseload renewable energy. I'm here to speak in opposition to Senate Bill 2101 because it would impose expansive additional emissions monitoring requirements that are unnecessary to demonstrate the effectiveness of the air pollution controls and monitors currently in place. The bill states its purpose is to implement monitoring and sampling technologies that have been tested and verified by the US EPA. However, the list of emission parameters includes several for which there are no US EPA specifications. Air emissions are regulated by the EPA strictly, and they are currently reviewing their regulations, so we would stand with the EPA on those. Thank you. I yield my time, which I don't have.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, anybody, 3 other individuals having stated their support. Anybody else wishing to testify on SB 2101? I see somebody on Zoom. Is that for 2101?
Yes, please.
Okay, please identify yourself.
My name is Lisa Hallett Andrews from Kukuana'aina. In strong support of this bill. Department of Health makes the case that the wind direction blows pollution out to the ocean, implying that we need not worry about it. However, they document that the air blows towards Oahu residents for nearly one full day out of every week. And what blows out to sea can still come back to us when toxic chemicals like mercury and dioxins bioaccumulate in seafood that people eat. While the House companion bill is technically HB 2796, EEP heard and passed a similar bill, HB 2123, and amended it to match this bill, but also covers landfill. Will support what change being made in the Senate version before you to match the new HB 2123, which should now be seen as the companion bill.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I see somebody else named David. Are you testifying on SB 2101?
Yes, I'm just standard testimony, you stand in strong
Please
support.
identify yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave Molyneux with Greenpeace Hawaii.
Okay,
My apologies. Yes, we stand on our testimonies in strong support of this legislation. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else wishing to testify on SB 2101? Members, any questions? Is the Department of Health here for this SB 2101? Okay, it looks like it's going to cost $100,000 to $200,000 for a single pollutant to purchase a CEMS unit. How many units do you expect if we pass this?
Well, there's 3 stacks, right? So it would be 1 for each stack and then 1 for each pollutant, I believe. Maybe
Okay.
there may be some pollutants that could be combined. I'm not sure.
How many pollutants do you see identified in this bill?
19 times 3.
So
It's
19
23 minus 4 that are already being done. So it'd be 19 times 3 times that amount.
19 times 3 times 200,000 is how much you expect.
That's the installation cost, right?
Installation,
The
okay.
The purchase cost. That's not operation and maintenance.
And how many FTEs do you expect if we pass this bill? I mean,
Well, for the
full-time employees, Department of Health
yeah,
to monitor and,
yeah, Department of Health, we would need to have additional resources to review the plan that the facility develops. It also calls for hosting and developing a website that has charts and trends and summaries and violations. We would have to develop permit limits and revise permits and ensure compliance and do inspections. We don't have a specific number.
so you don't know how much the website is, but it looks like 11,400,000 just for the installation of the CEMS units.
If that's what you calculated,
If
yes.
19 times 3 times 200,000.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, members? Okay, seeing none, let's move on. For SB 2368, relating to the environment, we have Department of Health providing comments.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. Lane Otsu with Department of Health, and we are standing on our written comments in support of the measure.
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, it's in support? Okay. Next is County of Kauai in support. Next, we have Hawaii Environmental Change Agents Solid Waste Task Force in support.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, my name is Jolie. I'm also testifying on behalf of the HGCA Solid Waste Task Force in strong support of SB 2368. And that's because the state of Hawaii currently lacks a sustainable solid waste management system, and the current practices of landfilling and incinerating are costly, detrimental to both the environment and public health. These inadequacies, coupled with the resulting packaging pollution crisis that we're seeing, demand a shift away from a linear system to a more circular economy. And EPR policies can bring us to a more circular economy by placing the responsibility for a product's entire life cycle back on the producers of the product. So this also means shifting the economic burden of waste management that's currently imposed on taxpayers and underfunded municipalities to the producers of products. Within the past year, Maine, Illinois, and Maryland passed legislation allocating funds for EPR needs assessments. So assessing the applicability of an EPR program within the state will not only bring our state in line with broader national and global sustainability goals, but it'll also showcase our state's commitment to environmental responsibility.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Ted Boland, Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition and Support.
Thank you, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committees. Ted Boland with the Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition and the Climate Protectors Hawaii. As the previous speaker indicated, we have an unsustainable waste management system we use and we throw away. We need to get more linear. We also have, I want to highlight, an unfair cost structure where the county taxpayers are paying the full freight for handling all this solid waste for the visitors as well as the local residents. And it's a burden that needs to be passed somewhat onto the producers who are creating this product and profiting from our use. They also are in the best position to redesign products in a way that can lead to greater refill, reuse, and less throwing into the landfill. So this bill is the first step along a road to getting to circular waste handling and extended producer responsibility. And I strongly urge the committees to adopt it. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much. Retail Merchants of Hawaii and Support. Retail Merchants, are you there, Tina Yamaki?
Not
Okay.
present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, Product Stewardship Institute in Support. Zero Waste Kauai in Support. Just Zero in Support. Recycle Hawaii in opposition. Are you there on Zoom?
Not present on Zoom.
Lauren
Oh, wait,
Aguilar, are you there? Oh, I see Recycle Hawaii trying to get on.
Hello.
Hello, yeah, please proceed. You have 1 minute.
I'm sorry, there was something on my camera. Yeah, I know it's surprising that Recycle Hawaii is in opposition to this bill. We strongly support the intent of this bill and are working very hard to implement measures that are similar to this bill. But we cannot support the way that this particular bill is written, as it does not provide oversight for the how this process would be handled by individual corporations, and it needs to be some sort of parameters set by the state to make sure that everything is done correctly. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have American Institute for Packaging and the Environment in opposition. Are you there, Lauren Aguilar?
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, next we have Flexible Packaging Association opposition, Holy Pack in opposition, American Beverage Association in opposition, Chamber of Sustainable Commerce providing comments, Food Service Packaging Institute providing comments, Consumer Technology Association providing comments, 6 other individuals in support, 2 in opposition. Anybody else wishing to testify on SB 2368? Members, any questions? Seeing none, moving on. SB 2401, which is relating to feral chickens. Okay, first up, we have Department of Health providing comments.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chairs, and members of the committee. It does involve chickens. We support the bill as written and are committed to working with our partners on a public education campaign as a first step of not feeding any feral animals and making problems worse. Thank you. We'll be on for questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, Kingdom Pathways in support. Carmen Simpliciano, no. Surf Rider Foundation in support. Are you there, Lauren Blickley?
Yes, but I'm actually testifying on SB 2322, not related to feral chickens.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean, I support education.
I did the wrong one. Sorry. sorry.
Surf Rider supports it.
Okay, sorry. Hawaii, I'll call you next. Hawaii Department of Agriculture. It's Friday.
I feel it too.
Okay, City and County of Honolulu, Department of Customer Services in support. Thank you. Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau in support.
Thank you, Chair. We'll stand on a written testimony in support.
Hawaii Food and Policy in support. One other individual in opposition. Anybody else wishing to testify on SB 2401? Somebody who wants to feed feral chickens? No? Okay, members, any questions?
I do have a question, Chair.
Okay, please
I'm not really sure
proceed,
to
Chair
ask,
Rhodes.
maybe the testifier or something. Does anybody know what the current legal status is? Like if the chicken is on your property, is it your responsibility to take care of it? And does that apply to the governments to like sitting, if it's on a city and county street, they're supposed to take care of it. It's on state land, state's supposed to take care of them?
Yeah, thank you for the question. That comes up quite a bit, as you can imagine, with calls. As we understand it right now, most of these animals are not like protected, like hunting like species, and it's the landowner's responsibility. So you're exactly right. If it's on public property, then the public agency, whether it be a county agency or state agency, are responsible for it. If it's on a private property, and I think that the program, and I would let my colleagues in the city speak to this, but the program that they run actually offers the ability for private people to use, I think, equipment provided essentially by them, and that's part of the bill.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thanks. I won't belabor the point anymore, but it's urban Honolulu has now got the problems of urban areas plus the problems of rural areas, so it's kind of frustrating. Thank you.
Okay, I think there should be huli chicken, but maybe not. Okay, anybody else wishing to testify on SB 2401? Is there somebody here from the County of Honolulu? Yes, could you come on up? Because this basically funds the County of Honolulu into having a feral chicken control program. So do you folks have a feral chicken control program?
Good afternoon, William Trujillo from the Department of Customer Services, City and County of Honolulu. Yes, we currently have city funds, that general funds that have supported a feral chicken control program for about 2-3 years now.
So if we pass this bill, this basically gives you folks money, or there doesn't look like a requirement to match. If we give you folks the money, will this just increase, or are you folks going to use that money for something else?
We'll use it to increase. So currently, I believe the program that we wanted to support was the one to individuals can contact our contractor to get the services done on their private property. And right now, it's a portion is paid by the city and a portion is paid by the property manager, property owner. And so this would help the property manager, property owner lower their portion of the costs.
Okay, so your program basically is the private owner has to do a matching.
Pay a portion of portion for the service. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Chair Gabbard, go ahead.
What cost are we talking about here?
So there's different.
I mean, in terms of for the guy that's got the chickens on his property.
So for currently right now, the way the contract is set up, for a cage rental, that's to rent a cage from the contractor for a week. The total price is $75. The city currently pays $25 and the landowner pays $50. So we would look at offsetting some of that $50 for the private owner. And then for full service, which means the contractor comes out, sets up the traps, baits it, maintains it daily. That's $475 for a week. Currently, the landowner pays $375 and the city pays $100.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, so I know you're City and County of Honolulu, but we have a problem also on our island, and this only is for City and County of Honolulu. Yeah, Department of Ag. So what are you folks gonna do for the rest of the state?
In our testimony, the department helped to run a working group through this year with the City and County of Honolulu, but we approached the other counties. Both the County of Hawaii and the County of Maui would like to run a similar program. And in our testimony, we do request $50,000 for the County of Hawaii and the County of Maui to be included in this program as well. The County of Kauai may have some ordinance that would be challenging to overcome in this program.
Okay, so you have so you don't have any problems amending this to allow for other counties with feral chicken control or feral animal control programs to have matching funds.
We're requesting to support them as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, moving on. SB 2322 regarding, relating to water quality. First up, we have Department of Health providing comments. Next, we have.
Oh, sorry. Good
Okay,
afternoon.
Department of Health, proceed.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, and committee members. Darrell Lum, program manager at the Department of Health Clean Water Branch. The Department of Health stands on our written testimony with comments and proposed amendments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have Kingdom Pathways. Now it's your turn, I guess, to Simpliciano in support. Are you present, Kingdom Pathways? No. Surfrider Foundation in support, Lauren Blakely. I see.
Yes.
Please proceed.
Thank you. My name is Lauren Blakely with the Surfrider Foundation. I'm asking you to please support Senate Bill 2322 and please do not accept DOH's proposed amendments. For over a decade, the DOH has refused to sample the water at its regularly monitored beaches during brown water advisory or if the water looks brown. This has resulted in 10-year data gap of beach water quality during wet conditions, and it has skewed the state's data towards dry and thus typically clean conditions. In their testimony, the DOH falsely argues that this bill increased costs. It's not true. I analyzed the DOH's own data from the island of Maui in 2020, where they sampled over 550 sites or samples across the island. There were only 11 times when they would have had to pull a sample because of brown water, which obviously does not result in additional personnel or funding needs. DOH also falsely states that EPA requires them to do 24-hour follow-up testing if a high sample is pulled. Again, false. I have the EPA guidance document right here that leaves the discretion up to the state on how often they pull a sample after a high hit. If they're
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, we have your written testimony. I understand you're very passionate about this. Next, Surfrider Foundation in support, Mara Diaz. Okay, next we have Charlie Kesnell, Surfrider Foundation Maui chapter in support. Surfrider Foundation Kauai chapter in support. Chair of Surfrider Oahu in support. Free Access Coalition in support. Friends of Kewalos in support. Friends of Kewalos Ronald Iwami in support. Windward Coalition in support. Why? Wastewater Alternatives and Innovations in support. 6 other individuals in support. Anybody else wishing to testify on SB 2322? Seeing none, members, any questions? Okay, I have a question, Department of Health. Are you still on Zoom?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so you heard the passionate testimony from Lauren Blakely of Surfrider. What's your position? Are you folks testing? They're saying you folks are not testing enough. Or you're not testing, especially on those hazardous conditions when people want to go into the water. What's your position?
Okay, this is Myron Honda, Department of Health Clean Water Branch. The Federal Beach Act requires us to test coastal recreational waters and notify the public if there's an exceedance to the beach action value or if there's a likelihood of exceedance to the beach action value. Okay, the department has adopted EPA's recommended beach action value of 130 per 100 mils. This value represents a clear line in the sand, so to speak. Anything above this number represents an unacceptable level of risk, or anything below this level does not.
Okay, so hold on. I'm sorry. Why don't I ask this way? Okay, because basically your testimony is that you are complying with EPA or federal standards, but this
we are complying with our beach grant requirements. That is what we agreed to with EPA.
Okay, what if the bill wants you folks to do more than what is required, though? What is your position regarding that?
Then we would probably need more resources. Maui is just one island. We also have samplers on Oahu, Kauai, Hilo, and Kona.
So what if we put in a blank appropriation? Because, you know, we are an island state where where our residents enjoy water sports, right?
Okay.
So there is obviously a request and a need for more testing. So when we go into the water, we don't get infected.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Well, here's my question. Excuse me. Let me finish. Will you be able to give us an appropriation amount? Should we pass this bill and put in a blank appropriation at this time? I'm not saying right now, but will you be able to do it for the next committee?
Yes, we should be able to do that.
Okay, thank you very
Chair,
much.
I have a follow-up
Okay,
question.
yes, go ahead.
Yes, you know, DOH,
Senator.
I mean, according to the Surfrider Foundation's testimony, though, they're saying that under the EPA rules that they found, you're only required to continue the normal weekly testing, even if there's a brown water advisory, or even if you do find high bacteria. And so they're saying that, you know, you don't need an additional appropriation because all this is asking is that you keep on doing your weekly testing. They disagree with your folks' testimony that says, you know, once you find a high bacteria, that it requires daily testing. They have a competing, would an AG opinion help to cover you so that you don't feel like, you know, you have to do daily testing when there's high bacteria?
Well, that was our agreement with EPA. We probably, you know, would need to go back and discuss this with them and, you know, negotiate, a change for that. And, you know, I just want to let the committee know that we have, you know, one person basically on Kauai, one person on Maui, one in Hilo, and one in Kona. Okay.
Yeah.
We need more people. We need more positions.
Yeah, but although if the testing just remains at once a week, then it would be, we're not asking you to do any additional work other than what they would normally just do, just once a week.
Okay.
So, well, yeah, because if we had an appropriation, then there's a higher chance it's not going to make it.
Yeah.
Under this
No,
fiscal
I understand.
consideration.
I understand.
So,
Gerald. Okay, wait. Yeah, let another senator ask you questions.
So in terms of the EPA, so the EPA would rather have you not test at all. If we don't have the money to do the follow-up test, they would rather have us not test at all.
Okay, here's the situation. Okay, the Beach Action Value or the Beach Act says that we need to notify the public when there is an exceedance of the BAV or a likely exceedance of the BAV. And we have determined that there is a strong likelihood of an exceedance during brownwater events. We know that. We know the numbers are going to be high. We have many years worth of data, and we have over 700 data points. So we know that's going to be high. Okay. Additional testing will not yield any more actionable information. We already know it's going to be high. And our responsibility, according to the Beach Act, is to notify the public whenever there is an exceedance or whenever there is a likelihood of an exceedance. And that is what we are doing. We are living up to the intent of the Beach Act.
I mean, I understand what you're saying is that when the water's brown, there's probably problems, but
we have data showing that it will be high. And
when the water's not brown, you also have a pretty good expectation that it's not going to be high. So we still test when the water's clear. So why not just keep testing when the water's brown too on the regular schedule? That's the part I don't understand.
Okay, one of the problems that we have seen in the past, and we anticipate, is whenever there's a groundwater event, it covers a large portion of the island. It could be several beaches. If we were to test only our regularly scheduled beaches, that means we would have data. We could have data for one beach, but not the two surrounding beaches. And we receive, complaints about things like that. When we receive high counts in a certain area, for instance, we receive questions whether, the surrounding beaches are impacted. And at that point, because we don't have data on the other beaches, we have to say, in our opinion, it's not impacted. Now, when the water is brown, everybody will see that it's brown. And if we post if we test just that one area and we don't test the surrounding areas, we cannot tell them, yeah, we've tested, so we know it's high. We can say we think it's going to be high because it's brown.
So my last comment to speed things along is that, but that's true if it's clear too. There's a whole, if you're only testing certain beaches, then you're never going to have enough data on the other beaches.
That is true.
So what difference does it make?
So thank you. There's no question to you anymore. There, just a comment. But thank you very much. Any other questions, members? Moving on. SB. There is more? Sorry, Senator
No. Sorry.
Okay. SB 3133, relating to criminal history record checks. First up, we have Agribusiness Development Corporation in support. 3133. Excuse me. 3133. Wrong one. Sorry. Why do I have 3133? I'll just read up what I've got. Sorry. Department of Health in support.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. My name is Greg Edwards with Department of Health, Office of Medical Cannabis Control and Regulation. We stand in our strong support of this measure. We do want to point out quickly, though, one key request is the department's offering a replacement language in our testimony, because the current proposed language was recently reviewed by FBI, which is a requirement to have access to their databases. That proposed language, which is in the bill now, was unacceptable to FBI. So that's why we're proposing replacement language in our testimony.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have Kirsten Walker in opposition. Robert Benz in opposition. Anybody else wishing to testify on SB 3133? Members, any questions? Seeing none, I do. Okay, go ahead, Senator Keo'apolele.
Please. Have you had engagement with the Hawaii Hemp Association or any of the other hemp industry growers around this legislation, or any of the other legislation proposing changes to the hemp rules that are, I guess, a follow-on from the action that was taken last year?
Specific to the background check?
Well, yes, since we're talking about that, but there are several bills.
So specific to the background check, so last year, Act 263, there was a change to the requirement that when you apply to become a hemp processor, we change it from a registry to a permit system. So during the application process previously to Act 263, you had to be USDA licensed grower. They maintained that when they moved it to a permit system in Act 263, but they also added another mechanism where if you don't have a USDA growing license, you can consent to the department to conduct that background check. That's what this bill is addressing, is we don't have the authority to do that portion of it. So only those applicants right now that have a USDA growing license can apply.
I understand that. I guess the reference is that there's not a whole lot of engagement on this measure, and I believe on the other measures. And I don't know whether that means they don't know that these measures are moving, or that it's support by silence. So I'm asking whether you've had engagement with them, because there's been engagement with the industry on other measures like cannabis that implicate them.
Not specifically that I can recall with respect to background checks. We've had engagement from one person that wanted to apply, and we had to tell them that if you don't have a USDA growing license, then we can't accept it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Stick around. I have a question. Sorry. No. Basically, your proposed amendment removes applicants from permits of hemp processors from your bill, which included it. So I'm thinking, why do we need the bill? Instead, why don't we just go on with regs, which the Deputy Attorney General the other day informed us is already set for review.
My understanding is that we don't need to change our regulations or amend our regulations, which would be 1137. It's the statutory authority for us to conduct a background check on an applicant that does not have a USDA growing license. So that manufacturer that wants to come to the department and get a permit doesn't have a USDA growing license. They have to
Oh,
consent.
so it's the ones who are not, that's the reason why you folks removed that portion.
Yes, because that language that was
Because-
originally proposed, the FBI reviewed and said it's unsatisfactory.
And that's the reason why there's opposition, because they already got reviewed by the FBI, so they don't. Okay, so as amended, the ones who are already reviewed by FBI you folks don't need their background check.
Yeah, when we, and let me clarify.
Because-
When I say review by FBI, we're meaning the statutory language, not that the applicant is getting reviewed again by FBI. DOH needs the authority to access the FBI databases.
But you gotta ask that from the FBI. We don't control the FBI.
Right, which is so correct. So the language that is being proposed has to be submitted to them. It's a two-step
Okay.
process, and that's what, first step, they said that language is not acceptable. So we're trying this version, is what we're proposing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Question.
Yes, go ahead, Senator
So
Gabbard.
one of the concerns that was expressed by the hemp farmers was that they don't want to be double regulated, right? Requiring two background checks, right? One for growing the crop and then duplicating it with a check for processing for
Correct,
hemp, right? So is that addressed in this bill? Will
They-
they be
The
double
amendment.
in the amendment?
Yes, they will not be.
They will not be.
Yeah, because they've already submitted
Right.
their USDA growing license, if they have a valid one.
Right.
If they've submitted that as part of their application to become a hemp processor, there's no additional background check. Again, it's only for those that don't have a USDA growing license.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions for 3133, short recess for decision making? See, look, they removed it.
Yeah. Conferring the chairs and other members, we have some decision-making here, and we'll start off with the AEN, the lead, SB 2426, relating to cesspools. On this one, we're going to, the recommendation will be to delete Section 8 from the bill. Okay, any questions?
Okay, my comment is, thank you, Chair, for your work on this, but I would like to add in the committee report that as this program moves, that we look into a grant program for low-income families.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Any discussion with AN members? Chair votes aye.
Chair's
Chair votes.
recommendation on SB 2426 is to pass with amendments. Chair Gabbard votes aye. Senators Richards and DeCoit are excused. I'll vote yes. Senator Watt. Aye. Your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, moving on to,
Wait.
oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, for HHS, same recommendation, Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay, Chair.
Chair votes aye.
Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Keo Kolole.
Aye.
Senator Shimabukuro.
Aye.
Senator Owa.
Aye.
Recommendation is adopted.
Moving on to SB 2425 on cesspool education. Chair's recommendation will be to pass as is. Any discussion? AEN Chair votes aye. Senator Rhodes.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2425 is to pass as is. Chair Gabbard votes aye. Senators Richards and DeCoit are excused. I'll vote yes. Senator Watt.
Aye.
Recommendation is adopted.
Same recommendation, however, I'd like to put in the committee report of Department of Health's proposed amendments to the HRS. Okay. Vice Chair for the vote, Chair votes aye.
Okay, thank you very much. All members are present. Any reservations, any noes? Recommendation is adopted.
Moving on to SB 2421, the DeBucks program, no brainer. Great program. So Chair's recommendation would be to pass as is. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2421 is to pass as is. Chair Gabbard votes aye. Senators Richards and DeCoit are excused. I'll vote yes. Senator Waugh.
Aye.
Recommendation's adopted.
Okay, so for HHS, same recommendation, except we'd add into the committee report for the blank appropriation, request the insertion of $2 million per testimony. Any comments, questions, concerns for HHS? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair votes aye.
Okay, thank you very much. All members are present. Any reservations, any noes? Recommendation is adopted, Chair.
Okay, next measure, SB 2369, Working Group on PFAS. Chair's recommendation will be to pass as is.
With amendments.
Oh.
I'm not
You had-
agreeing to as
You had an
is.
amendment?
Yes, the amendment is that Department of Health will be removed as chair in
Oh,
lieu
yes, that's
of the co-chairs of Health and co-chairs of Senate and Representative. And Department of Health will just be a member.
Yep, that's fine. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2369 is to pass with amendments. Chair Gabbard votes aye. Senators Richards and DeCoit are excused. I'll vote yes. Senator Waugh.
Aye.
Recommendation's adopted.
Okay, for HHS, same recommendation. Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay, all members are present. Any reservations, any noes? Recommendation is adopted.
Next measure, SB 2813, relating to meat processing. Chair's recommendation will be to amend using the GO tax amendments, suggestions. Any discussion? Chair votes aye. Vice Chair.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2813 is to pass with amendments. Chair Gabbard votes aye. Senators Richards and DeCoit are excused. I'll vote with reservations. And Senator Waugh.
Aye.
Recommendation's adopted.
Okay, for HHS, same recommendation. Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay, all members are present. Any reservations, any noes? Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much. So for SB 2150, seeing no actual testimony in support, Chair's recommendation is to defer indefinitely. For SB 2101, this is a work in progress. It looks like there's a lot of work that needs to be done as to what kind of continuous monitoring and sampling needs to be done. And as such, at this time, we're going to add in a blank appropriation to the Department of Health to implement and gather more data. We are going to insert in the committee report the testimony of CEMS units installation of $11,400,000 request by Department of Health, additional amount for its website, and an unknown amount for FTEs to implement. We're also going to add in a defect date because we want the advocates and those concerned to continue discussion. Any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair votes aye.
Okay, recommendation of the chair is to pass Senate Bill 2101 with amendments. All members are present. Any reservations, any noes? Recommendation is adopted.
Same recommendation for AEN. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2101 is to pass with amendments. Chair Gabbard votes aye. Senators Richards and DeCoit are excused. I'll vote yes. Senator Waugh. Aye. Recommendation's adopted.
Okay, for SB 2368, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. We're gonna put in the tech amendments and insert in the blank committee, committee report for the blank amount, the $1 million request. Otherwise, as is with tech amendments. Any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay, all members are present. Any reservations, any noes? Recommendation is adopted.
AEN.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, same recommendation with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2368 is to pass with amendments. Chair Gabbard votes aye. Senators Richards and DeCoit are excused. I'll vote yes. Senator Waugh. Aye. Recommendation's adopted.
Thank you, members.
Okay, thank you. For SB 2401, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. We're going to put in an additional appropriation amount of the same amount of $50,000 for each county with a feral animal control program. Otherwise, as is. Any comments, questions, concerns?
Comment.
Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
I support the chickens. That's it.
Okay. All members are present. Any reservations? Any noes?
No.
Recommendation is adopted, Chair.
Same recommendation for AEN. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
Sorry, it was with amendments or without?
With amendments.
With amendments, okay. Chair's recommendation is pass SB 2401 with amendments. Chair Gabbard votes yes. Senators Richards and McCoy are excused. I'll vote yes. And Senator Waz?
No.
Your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you very much. So for SB 2322, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. We're going to add in an appropriation section and a blank appropriation to the Department of Health to implement, and a defect date so that the advocates can continue discussion on an important bill to ensure that those who use the water for recreation will continue to have healthy monitoring. Any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay, with amendments, all members are present. Any reservations? Any noes? Recommendation is adopted, Chair.
Same recommendation for AEN. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2322 is to pass with amendments. Chair Gabbard votes aye. Senators Richards and DeCoit are excused. I'll vote yes. Senator Waugh?
Aye.
Recommendation's adopted.
Okay, thank you very much. For SB 3133, I'd like to thank the Department of Health's proposed amendments that removes the duplication concerns of the duplicative background checks, which are the concerns of the hemp farmers. So Chair's recommendation is to pass with Department of Health's proposed amendments. We're going to add a defect date because we are cognizant of the fact that the Attorney General has proposed hemp regulations that may cover this area. So defect date of December 31, 2050 to continue further discussion. Any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair votes aye.
Okay, all members are present. Any reservations? Any noes?
No vote.
Okay, thank you very much. Recommendation is adopted.
AEN.
Oh, AEN. For AEN, the same recommendation. Chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendation on SB 3133 is to pass with amendments. Chair Gabbard votes aye. Senators Richards and DeCoit are excused. I'll vote yes. Senator Waz?
No.
No. Okay. Recommendation's adopted.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Yay.
Have a good weekend, everyone. Okay, welcome to the 105 agenda of decision-making for AEN. We're here in 224. If anything happens, we get shut down because of tech problems, we'll reconvene February 12th, Monday at 101. And first measure is SB 3338. Relating to water, establishes a Y policy coordinator and other positions within the Department of Land and Natural Resources for coordination of Red Hill Y initiatives. Creates the Red Hill Remediation Special Fund. Okay, so on this one, 32, hang on here. So Waterland has already voted on this, and so we'll go along with their recommendations. We'll adopt DOH's recommended amendment on page 6, line 2, and replace quote unquote the state policy lead with quote the state's policy lead on Red Hill by initiatives unquote. We'll also adopt DLNR's amendment clarifying that the cost of remediation of the aquifer should be borne by the U.S. Navy. And we'll also defect the date to July 1st, 2050. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendation on SB 3338 is to pass with amendments. Chair Gabbard votes Aye. Senators Richards and DeCoit are excused. I'll vote yes. Senator Waugh.
Aye.
Recommendation's adopted.
Okay, thank you. And then on the other measure, SB 3339, related to the Red Hill Remediation Authority, the Waterland deferred that indefinitely, so we'll be following suit, defer indefinitely, and that ends the 105 agenda. Okay, great.
Oh, I got you. All right. Okay.
All right, so we are with the 106 agenda of decision making. Let me see here. Right one. And the first one up is SB 2545, relating to recycling, amends recycling goals under the Electronic Device Recycling and Recovery Act. Recovering acts, so the goals are based upon the manufacturer's overall market share in the state. And so the chair recommends passing SB 2545 by deleting the contents of 2545 and replacing it with the contents of Senate Bill 3264. That will be the preferred vehicle. 3264.
Is it the same topic? I mean,
Yeah, everything's,
But so it's still based on market share?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2545 is passed with amendments. Chair Gabbard votes aye. Senators Richards and DeCoit are excused. I'll vote yes. Senator Waugh.
No.
No. Recommendation is adopted.
Okay, and thank you, members. And moving on to SB 3329. Requiring the disclosure of any little fire ant infestation as part of any sale of residential real property. And on this one, we're going to pass with amendments from the Hawaii Pest Control Association that would require the disclosure statement to also say if there's a current infestation, when the treatment was done for the infestation, and also who treated the infestation. Thank you to Tim for that. So any discussion? Chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendation SB 3329 is to pass with amendments. Chair Gabbard votes aye. Senators Richards and DeCoit are excused. I'll vote yes. Senator Waugh.
Aye.
Recommendation's adopted.
Thank you, members. Moving on to SB 2933, proposing an amendment to Article 1 of the Constitution of the State of Hawaii to recognize and protect the inherent and inalienable right of all people to clean water and air, a healthful environment and climate, healthy native ecosystems, and beaches, also known as the Green Amendment. So the chair's recommendation, this will be the fourth time we've introduced this. Chair's recommendation will be to pass as is. Any discussion? Chair votes aye. Vice Chair.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2933 is to pass unamended. Senator Gabbard votes yes. Senators Richards and DeCoit are excused. I'll vote yes. Senator Waugh.
Aye.
Recommendation's adopted.
Okay, and members, we've had some difficulties in continued conversation on the other 8 items on our agenda. So we're going to prolong and defer this decision-making until Monday, February 12th at 1:32 p.m. here in room 224. And that's it, so have a good weekend. Mahalo.